Good morning, dear students. How's going on? Hope you all are safe. Okay, let's study a new lesson, that is Canterville Ghost. I think that you will be very interested in this lesson since you love ghost stories. Okay, from your childhood itself, you heard a lot of ghost stories, and also you must have watched a lot of ghost movies. I think that especially the children are very interested in ghost stories. So take the story that is Canterville Ghost. I think that some of the episodes of Canterville Ghost you must have read somewhere. Okay, and here only one incident in the life of Canterville Ghost will be discussed, and it's written by Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde, you know that he is a famous children story writer. So his main concern is writing stories for children. He has written a number of short stories for children. He has other books also, but he is famous for his short stories for children. Okay, well, let's take page number 74. Oscar Wilde was famous playwright, novelist, poet and critic. Wilde wrote 9 plays, 1 novel, short stories and several poems. He is famous for his wit, sparks of which brighten up his works like The Canterville Ghost and The Importance of Being Honest. Okay. As per the short description given here about the author, he was a playwright. Playwright means writing plays or dramas, and also a novelist and poet and critic. Critic, you know that he will be criticizing about the works or evaluating. Wilde wrote 9 plays and dramas, 1 novel, short stories and several poems. He is famous for his wit. What's the meaning of wit? Doesn't mean comics. It means intellectual books. Okay. Sparks of which brighten up his works like Canterville Ghost and The Importance of Being Honest. When you study these 2 works, you will understand how witty, how intellectual he is compared to many other authors who gave importance to senses or emotions. But here the author gives more importance to intellect. Okay. And his works contain intellectual brightness. We'll come to the first page of our story, page number 67. Okay, this is only a part of the work. Just students, what's our concept about a ghost? Is there really a ghost? Okay, even if it is there or not, we will see a story about it. Actually, we have watched many movies, ghost movies you might have watched. And in all these stories, whatever we have heard and whatever we have watched, the ghost frightens the people. Does it or doesn't it? But here, in this particular story, the ghost is being frightened by the people. That's the difference that we see here in the story. The people are least frightened by the ghost, but the ghost is being frightened by the people. We'll see the introductory part. The Canterville Ghost is a humorous story about the Otis family who moved from America to a castle in England. Okay, and here the incident takes place with Otis family. And Otis family, they were staying in America. Now they transferred to England. And the castle was haunted by the ghost of Sir Simon de Canterville, a dead nobleman. Actually, this house was, this is a castle. Castle, you know, that's a very big building, almost like a palace. And actually they wanted to live here, but it is told that it was haunted by a ghost. What is the meaning of haunted? Followed. Always there will be the apparition or appearance of this ghost in this particular castle. Actually, the ghost is said to be of Sir Simon de Canterville. He was a nobleman. Unlike previous residents, the Otis family was not in the least frightened by the ghost. Even though the ghost tried to frighten this family, because there were many other families who lived before them, they were frightened easily. That's why the ghost thought that this family also will be frightened. Even though it tried, actually they were not at all frightened. When the ghost clanged his iron chains, Mr. Otis offered him a lubricator to oil them. That means they were not at all frightened. When he clanged, what is the meaning of clang? Loud, sharp sound of pieces of metals. Okay, that which we hear in ghost stories. Okay, and when he clanged his iron chains, there will be a chain for the ghost. And when he clanged it, Mr. Otis offered him a lubricator. Lubricator means in order to clang it very easily. Okay, that means he was not at all afraid. He just stood in front of the ghost and gave him the lubricator to oil them. When he left a blood stain, Mrs. Otis calmly wiped it away with stain remover. That means actually when we see the blood on the floor, we will be afraid. But this family is not at all afraid. They just wiped it as normal. Then one night the young Otis twins scared him with a ghost that had made out of a curtain, a cleaning brush and turnip. Once the children, they were twins. They frightened the ghost with another ghost that is made up by them, and it was made up with curtain, cleaning brush and turnip. The extra given below tells us what happened from the next day on. So automatically the ghost is afraid now. I will see what happened next. Okay. And this is the chapter 4 of Canterville Ghost. That's a little longer story and it comes in the 4th part. The next day the ghost was very weak and tired. The terrible excitement of the last 4 weeks was beginning to have its effect. Okay, and now it's a little puzzled and it's weak and tired because whatever it does, everything is a failure. That's why it has become very weak. The terrible excitement of the last 4 weeks. Excitement means means unexpectedly he was afraid. He was frightened by the people, the Otis family. His nerves were completely shattered and he started at the slightest noise. Okay, that means now he is weak. Though he is weak, actually his character is to frighten others. So he started again with the weak appearance. The family is dead. For 5 days he kept his room and at last made up his mind to give up the point of the blood stain on the library floor. If the Otis family did not want it, they clearly did not deserve it. Okay, and he knew what had happened after there was a blood stain. Okay, that means Mrs. Otis just wiped it away. That's what happened. So it completely disappointed the ghost because no one was afraid by seeing it. So he thought that if the Otis family did not want it, that means if they did not want to be frightened, they clearly did not deserve it. Okay, actually they did not want to become frightened. And now he is telling in his mind, they are evidently people on a low material plane of existence and quite incapable of appreciating the symbolic value of senses phenomena. Okay. And he's thinking that they are evidently people on a low material plane of existence. Okay, actually these people actually they are not at all afraid because they always think out of their intellect, not giving importance to senses. Okay, senses, emotions. And those people who are afraid of getting afraid very easily are giving much importance to emotions, because easily we are frightened when our emotions are being frightened. Okay, but these people are intellect. That's what he thinks. That's why he's thinking about that people. However, it was his solemn duty to appear in the corridor once a week. Even though the people are not afraid, he thought that at least once in a week he has to appear in the corridors and to gibber from the large oriel window. What's the meaning of gibber given here? Speak rapidly and unintelligibly. The ghost will be telling something, and he used to talk. Once in a week he will be appearing and will be talking in the oriel window on the first and third Wednesday in every month. And he did not see how he could honorably escape from his obligations. Okay, that means what is his obligation? To frighten others. And he does not know how he will be getting free out of his responsibility. What is responsibility? To frighten others. Okay, actually he is not sure whether the people will be frightened or whether he will be escaped after frightening the people. It is quite true that his life had been very evil. But upon the other hand, he was most conscientious in all things connected with the supernatural. Okay, even though, what is the meaning of conscientious? We have already studied. Sincere towards one's work or duty. It's quite true that his life had been very evil. That is why he wanted to frighten others. But upon the other hand, he was most sincere in all things connected with the supernatural. That means whatever things he can do as supernatural, he used to do. He was very sincere to do it. For the next 3 Saturdays, accordingly, he traversed. Traverse means travel across. 3 Saturdays he traversed the corridor as usual between midnight and 3 o'clock. Okay. Usually we heard that the ghost will be coming at midnight, and he used to come at midnight for the next 3 Saturdays. Okay. Taking every possible precaution against being either heard or seen. Sometimes that means he almost know that he will be the family will be frightening him. That is why he had taken enough precaution. Precaution, measure taken in advance. He was careful to use the rising sun lubricator for oiling his chains. Okay, that means he wanted to use this oil before frightening the people so that he can easily make use of the sound. Okay, he had taken this one night. What is this? Oil lubricator. While the family were at dinner by slipping into Mr. Otis' bedroom. Okay, and this rising sun lubricator was in Mr. Otis' room, and once when the family was taking dinner, he just went into the room of Mr. Otis and had taken it without knowing others. He felt a little humiliated at first. Humiliated meaning is felt ashamed, but afterwards was sensible enough to see that there was a great deal to be said for the invention, and to a certain degree it served his purpose. Okay, anyway, he understood that he must be little prudent and it will work well if he plans with his senses or with a common sense or with intellect. He will be success in his invention. Still, in spite of everything, he was not left unmolested. What is the meaning of unmolested? Harmed. Even though he took all the precautions, most often he was harmed. Strings were continually being stretched across the corridor. Okay, this is what happens. Sometimes the strings that were kept on the floor. And on one occasion, while dressed for the part of Black Isaac, that means he wanted to, you know that the ghosts will be taking the forms of different people. And once it wanted to take the form of the dead Black Isaac, that's the name of a person. And when he was taking the form of Black Isaac, or the huntsman of Hogley Woods, and while he was taking the part of these persons, he met with a severe fall through treading on butter slide which the twins had constructed. You know that if we move through a butter slide, we'll be easily falling. And when he was taking the form of Black Isaac and the huntsman of Hogley Woods, he fell down when he just walking through the butter slide that was trick that was played by the twins. The last insult so enraged means made him angry. Okay, that means after being fallen on this butter slide, he was angry with the twins, that he resolved to make one final effort to assert his dignity and social position. Now he wanted to assure his position as a ghost. That's why he wanted to frighten them. That's his utmost care. That is why he started to think very intellectually, or started to plan how to frighten his twins, and determined to visit the insolent young Etonians the next night. Etonians, there is a family name on the Etonians, meaning is in the form of or present member of Eton College. Eton College, that is in England. Okay, so he wanted to visit Etonians in his celebrated character of Reckless Rupert or the Headless Earl. Okay, that means what was his trick? To frighten the twins the next day. That means he wanted to take the dress of Reckless Rupert or Headless Earl. Headless Earl means Earl, you know, that is a positional name that is given to almost like that means just below the king there was a position that is Earl. I think that you must have studied it in history. Okay, Earl, a British aristocratic position. Okay. And he thought that he will be taking the form of Headless Earl. There will not be head. It took him fully 3 hours to make his preparations. Okay, so he wanted to make up himself. That's why he took 3 hours to make him as Headless Earl. Okay, now you can see the pictures how he has dressed. At last, everything was ready and he was pleased with his appearance. Okay, and now he understood. When he looked in the mirror, he understood that this is a good appearance, this is a good form to frighten the twins. Okay, and he kept his head somewhere, and now this is a headless Earl only. That's why he kept his head and he is moving without his head. At 1:15, he glided out of the wainscoting and crept down the corridor. What is the meaning of wainscoting? Wooden paneling that lines the lower part of the walls of a room. That means he wanted to move through the lower part of the room, lower part of the door. On reaching room occupied by the twins, he found the door just ajar. What is the meaning of ajar? Opened. He understood that the door is already opened. Wishing to make an effective entrance, he flung it wide open. Okay, that means almost it was open, and he just pushed it and it made wide open. Gasp! You can see the expressions there. And finally, what happened? You can see the jar comes to him and he was hit. And now he wanted to escape. That is the only thing that he wanted to do. The shock to his nervous system was so great that he fled back to his room as hard as he could go. And finally, he was afraid, he was shocked because already they were prepared, the twins were prepared and they threw with the jar, and so he was wounded. He wanted to escape somehow. That is now his utmost care. The next day, he was laid up with a severe cold. Okay, so you know that if you are afraid, very seriously frightened by something like snake or anything, next day you will be getting fever. And here the ghost got cold. The only thing that at all consoled him in the whole affair was the fact that he had not brought his head with him. For had he done so, the consequences might have been very serious. Okay, since he kept the head in the room, he escaped. Otherwise, his head might have been injured, to where it is fallen. The jar is fallen. That's why he escaped, since he kept his head in the room. He now gave up all hope of ever frightening this rude American family. He thought that never I will frighten them again. He decided and contented himself as a rule with creeping about the passage. His final blow he received occurred in the 19th of September. He had gone downstairs to the great entrance hall, feeling sure that there at any rate he would be quite unmolested. Okay, and the last attack that he received was there on 19th September. What happened that day? He was just going to the entrance hall and he thought that no one will be harming him, and was amusing himself by making satirical remarks on the large ceremony photographs of the United States minister and his wife, which had now taken the place of the Canterville family pictures. He belonged to Canterville family only, and there was a Canterville family photograph kept there in the entrance hall, and now it is replaced by another photograph that is of ceremony photographs, that is a minister and his wife, American of United States. Okay, and now there is this photograph, and he was just making some remarks, some opinions. He was talking to himself about this photograph and was there. He was dressed for the character of Jonas the Graveless, or the corpse snatcher of Chelsea Barn, one of his most remarkable impersonation. What's the meaning of impersonation? Impersonation role playing. Okay, that means he thought that he can take another characters in order to frighten them. Who were the Jonas the Graveless? That means the word itself signifies that it is related to dead bodies, or from grave they must have come. And he thought to take the form of these characters like Jonas the Graveless or the corpse snatcher of Chelsea Barn. Okay. And what happened? And one which the Canterville had every reason to remember, as it was the real origin of their quarrel with their neighbor, Lord Rufford. Okay, and really he remembers these characters because actually their quarrel with Lord Rufford began with this particular impersonation. It was about 2:15 in the morning, and as far as he could ascertain, no one was stirring. Okay, and he understood that no one is sleeping, but it is 2 o'clock in the night, and as he was strolling towards the library, however, to see if there were any traces left on the bloodstain that usually seen. If there is any traces left there, he wanted to make it sure, and he was just going there. He thought that everyone must be sleeping, even though they were not stirring. Suddenly, what happened? The twins appeared. Pooh! Okay, they frightened the ghost. Seized with panic, which under the circumstances was only natural, he rushed for the staircase. Okay, panic means fear. Seized with fear, which under the circumstances was only natural. Okay, that means if unknowingly someone may throws something or someone appears in front of us in unexpected time, you'll be afraid. This was natural, and he rushed for the staircase. After that, he did not frighten these twins. That is the story. Okay, and here we see the ghost was afraid 2 times, frightened 2 times. One, when he was trying to frighten them with a headless earl, they frightened him. And another one, when he was there in the library, the twins appeared and they frightened. So here we see a frightened, a weak ghost. And here the story ends. Okay, let's discuss the first part of the questions, quick answers. The day after being frightened by the dummy ghost, the Canterville ghost was feeling option C. Weak, tired, shaken, and nervous. Please mark it in your textbook. After being frightened by the dummy ghost that the twins had made, the Canterville ghost did not leave his room for 4 weeks. Option C. The Canterville ghost wanted to be a dignified and frightening ghost. Option A. Dressed as a headless earl, the ghost was pleased with his appearance because he thought he looked horrifying. Option C. The Canterville ghost thought that the Otises were a rude family because, option B, they showed no fear, no regard for the ghostly happenings. Okay. And the question answers will be sent to you. And word wall also, okay, otherwise we'll discuss it. Okay. A long passage in a building from which doors lead into rooms. Page number 76. Okay, that is across, that is corridor. Corridor. What the ghost did after the water fell on him, ran away from 5, across the 5, that is fled, F-L-E-D. Next one, the word that is equal to very upset, that is shattered, S-H-A-T-T-E-R-E-D, shattered. Next one, what the ghost thought no one was doing at 2:15 in the morning, moving slightly, that is stirring, S-T-I-R-R-I-N-G, stirring. Eighth one, moved easily, continuously and noiselessly, that is glided, G-L-I-D-E-D. Okay, down. How the twins had left their bedroom door slight open. Okay, 1, that is down. Ajar, A-J-A-R. Next one, 2, built, that is constructed, C-O-N-S-T-R-U-C-T-E-D, constructed. The result of a cause. Fourth one, result of a cause, that is effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. How the ghost was walking towards the library, walking leisurely, that is sixth one, that is strolling, S-T-R-O-L-L-I-N-G. The feeling with which the ghost rushed for the staircase, a sudden feeling of fear or alarm. Okay, the meaning is sudden feeling of fear or alarm. That is the ninth one, that is down. Panic, P-A-N-I-C, panic. Next one is reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal means mutual. To here and there, that is mutual. Each other and one another. These are the two reciprocal pronouns. Okay, and each other is used when we talk about two people. Okay, they talked each other. They gave them things each other, etc. One another is used when we talk about three or more people. Okay. And Preeti, Ismail and Jasmine looked one another in surprise. Okay, when we talk about three or more people, we use one another. Okay, when we put apostrophe, be careful. We use each other's, not each other's. That means not final apostrophe. After other, we put apostrophe and s in order to say possessive pronouns. We use one another's, not one another. In a similar way, for one another also, after one another only we put apostrophe. Filling the blanks with each other, one another, each other's or one another's. Okay, the two wrestlers looked at each other. Two only, that is why each other. The group of 6 playwrights read. 6 means one another. My friends and I wished each other goodbye before leaving school. Sorry, my friends, that is more than 3, that is why one another. Answer is one another. All our neighbors get together in the nearby park and celebrate Holi with one another. The two cousins seem to get along very well with each other. My twin sister and I share the gifts we receive in our birthdays with each other. A dog and a cat can never become friends with each other. Given below are a few sentences that contain reciprocal pronouns. Identify the ones that are incorrect and correct them. Nitisha and I have known two only. That's why one another is wrong. Each other all our lives. The members of the group cooperated with one another during the conference. That's right. The staff members congratulated. Is it each other or one another? Staff members. There must be more than 3. That's why one another. Change that each other into one another. Next one. My brother and I disagree with each other frequently. That's right. My friend and I wished only 2. That's why each other a pleasant vacation before the school closed at the end of the term. Many boats bumped into each other. Is it right? Each other, many. That's why one another. One another is the answer. Okay. Here we stop. Okay. Thank you.